What's the craziest thing you've ever seen?
The craziest thing I've ever seen? I don't think this would be considered the craziest, so I'm going to use this as something to say before I hopefully can think of the craziest thing I've ever seen, because I've seen a lot of crazy shit. But when we were at dinner the other night with my parents, and somehow we were talking about car accidents, and me and my mom were leaving my old neighborhood, and it's a four-way intersection, and traffic was going through the intersection. We're sitting there, and this lady's on the other side, and she comes out, and this truck plows her and just blows this car across the intersection.
Oh my God.
And I was like 12, and I was like, holy fuck, that's nuts. Like, it gives you that feeling. If you've ever been in any kind of accident, you get that feeling of it's surreal. Like, it doesn't seem like it's happening. It seems fake until your like brain comes back down to earth, and you're like, shit, somebody just ran into me, or I ran into them, or whatever. That's how I felt. And I remember that feeling when I was 12, and I remember it now as I'm older. I've been rear-ended twice. Those are really my only two accidents, and I've rear-ended somebody, but nothing severe, nothing crazy. But I think the craziest thing, I don't even know. That's such a hard question. That's the thing. See, I didn't know what to expect from the questions. And I didn't think they were going to be this hard, because they are. If you use your brain, they're hard fucking questions. I think the craziest thing I've seen was I came home from work when I was working medical billing, the job I hated. And I left early to go to the dentist or the doctor or something. And I take these back roads every day, and I know like the back of my hand, and I love cars. We were talking about cars. So I ride to work as like I'm going to the track, basically. And I'm coming home early, and it's a nice day. I think it was like summer, still warm out. And I come around this corner and down this hill, and I can see it like right now, I'm telling you. And there's this car upside down up on a telephone pole, like upside down smoking. And as I got closer, I can see this like hand waving in the window. Somebody's in the car. And I'm like, holy fuck. Like, why me? Why did they? This is crazy.
Yeah.
There's this girl in there. She probably was like 20, I don't know. She was young, and she's waving, and I pull up in front of the car, and I stop, and I just sit there for like 10 seconds. I don't know how long it was. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, what the fuck do I do? I mean, what would you do? Like, you saw this girl's car just flipped upside down. It was fresh. It wasn't like she's been there for an hour. That shit just happened. And she's upside down and waving, stuck in the car. So I'm sitting there like, all right, well, I gotta go do something. So I get out, and what blew my mind the most was ahead of me was a construction site going on in a new development, and they couldn't see her because they're right around the corner, and all you can hear are the machines, like all the equipment going, and there's nobody walking around that can see where she is. So I'm like, they can't help. And then I come back, and I'm still noticing that there's nobody else has passed me yet on this road, which is nuts. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm stuck with this girl upside down. There's no cars coming. And finally this one guy pulls up, and he stops, and he gets out, and he's asking me if I need help or whatever. He's like, I'm gonna call 911. Because I start calling 911, and my phone, I was iPhone 4S or whatever at the time.
Yeah.
It fucking freezes on calling 911. Like, what kind of stupid shit is that at that time? And the phone had done that maybe a couple times in its life.
Right.
So it freezes in that moment. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm not meant to call 911. So the other guy's calling, and still, like, there's nobody really, just me and this guy now. I'm like, where is everyone?
Right.
And then I said, well, I'm going to do something. I asked her if she was okay, and she said, I'm okay. I'm slightly like cut up. And I'm like, all right, well, nothing feels like it's broke. I'm not a paramedic or anything, but I know some shit.
Right.
I remember I told you, I think on a different level. So I'm asking all these questions like I am paramedic, but I'm not. So I said, I'm going to get you out. And I reach up under, try to feel like where the seatbelt is. And I reach back up, and I cut, my hands all cut up.
Oh, man.
And I hit the seatbelt, and I like catch her, and I like help her guide herself out. And by the time I got her out, there's an undercover cop that happened to be in the area that I guess when that guy called 911 or whatever, they put out a dispatch to somebody that happened to be around. He shows up. There's like 5 other cars lined up with people just like out of their cars looking. No one even like really came over. They were just like looking to see what was going on, right?
Always.
And I asked her what happened before she starts talking to the cops. She said she was swatting at a bug. And she fucking rolled her shit upside down like this on a telephone pole. And he was fine. They asked me if I had anything to say, and I was like, no, I don't have anything to say.
Right.
I was like, I showed up, this is what happened, nobody was around, I got her out. I really probably shouldn't have, because you're not supposed to move somebody, but the car was smoking, I don't fucking know. What if the shit caught on fire and blew up the gas tank and she's in the car, then what? So, anyways, that experience was probably one of the, not just the craziest things, but one of the craziest feelings I've ever experienced. When I left, they gave me stuff to clean my hands because I was bleeding everywhere.
Yeah.
And I left, the fire department's pulling up. I'm like, yeah, I already fucking did your job. Fuck yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to the dentist now.
You can go home.
You guys can just turn around. Like, I already got her out. You just tow the car. And I'm like, I literally was shaking for the rest of the day. I was weirded out the next day because I just, we don't experience stuff like that in life every day.
Right.
You know what I mean? When you come up on some trauma and some shit you got to step up and do.
Yeah.
I could have just kept driving. I could have been a piece of shit.
Right.
And just drove off. But that was what made it so hard. I pulled in front of the car and I stopped and I just sat there and I was like, what the fuck do I do? What the fuck? Some car upside down with a girl in it waving at you. I just think that is such a memorable thing that I will tell somebody when I'm like 75, if I live that long. But that's probably one of the craziest things I've ever seen. And I'm trying to think of one other thing to tell you before we switch, because I feel like there's more crazy things to say. And I just can't think of like exactly one thing. It's one of the craziest things. You said I've seen, right?
What are the craziest situations you've been in? Which that was pretty crazy.
Oh God, no, I've been in crazier. So like, all right, so to compare that level of crazy, I've been in crazier situations on the highway in a car that would have made you feel the way I felt for a whole day, but riding in the passenger seat of the car. So just riding in a car would have made you get that fucked up feeling like God. Which is stupid because I did dumb shit in cars, and not to be proud of it or anything, I'm not. But I'm trying to think of one of the other craziest scenarios, and it's honestly probably not even from a car, because there's so many close calls, and that's going back to like somebody watching over me. What we did in cars and racing back in the day was so fucking dumb. Like now I still have a fast car and I still drive fast and I still will mess around on the highway, but I don't like go racing, I don't weave really through much traffic except for sometimes. But what the fuck? And my dad did crazy shit too. My dad was wild. I watched my dad, this was probably one of the craziest things. We were at a friend's house of his in Poolesville, Maryland. There's an inside joke to that, but it'll never get told. Exposed. Should I? No, that's fucking weird.
Tell it.
No, it's gonna make me forget the story of what I'm trying to tell. All right, let me tell you the story first about what I'm gonna tell you, and then I'll tell you that story, because that's also fucked up. But my dad's friend has a place in Poolesville. He's a Portuguese guy also. Big ass house, all made himself. Farm, animals, makes wine, meats, and all that shit. Awesome. Like homemade, makes you feel like you're in Portugal.
Wow.
He used to have four-wheelers and crap. He'd have parties in the summertime, and we would go over there and we'd ride the four-wheelers and dirt bikes and whatever. We'd do dumb shit. And my dad, I remember one time, he has this big garage in one section, and my dad was like doing laps in a fucking four-wheeler. And then I guess the guy who owns it, our friend, got in his truck, or someone got in their big ass truck and was going around too, and they went around the same way and like fucking smacked head on.
Oh my God.
And it was fucked up. And my dad didn't get really hurt, but it fucking threw him off this four-wheeler. And I was like, holy shit. And they've been drinking and all that stupid shit. I mean, we don't do anything the right way. You know what I mean? There's intoxication involved in some way, shape, or form. But anyways, that to me was just so crazy because I remember watching this four-wheeler come around hauling ass with a truck, hauling ass, smacking head on. And I told you my biggest fears of driving a car is somebody might get me head on. Watching that, my dad was on it. I mean, we used to, just the stupid shit, man. We used to do so much dumb shit. Sydney, I'm not telling them the story about Poolesville. There's no way.
You should just do it.
Really?
Yeah. do
So I was at work and I got a fucking phone call from what appeared to be the IRS, and this was when they first were really good at this shit.
Yeah.
And like telling me that this was an officer. His name was what was his name, Sid? Bear? No, that was my name. His name was
Sean Davis.
Sean Bavis. Who the fuck's named Sean Bavis? So that was my first red flag. I'm like, Bavis? The fuck? Okay. But he had like this Indian, Middle Eastern accent / like tried to be from the Midwest of the United States. And he's like, oh yeah, he's telling me about how I owe money to the IRS and that whatever money in the last couple years I didn't apparently do right when I got my taxes done and all this shit, trying to make it really believable. And once I kind of figured things out, I was like, what in the fuck? So they told me the cops were coming and the whole nine, right? In a nutshell. Anyways, that pissed me off that I got kind of almost fell into the situation.
Yeah.
And then kind of figured it out after I hung up and was like, what the fuck? Well, I don't owe anybody shit. I pay my taxes. Remember, I'm on a different level than all you fuckers, so I pay my shit. I'm on top of things for the most part. So, people, let me tell you why I'm on top of my shit in that aspect. People can't even give me their fucking insurance card up to date at the goddamn dealership to rent a car. They're not on anything. They're in some other world where they leave McDonald's fries in the car that look like they're fresh, but they're 6 months old.
Oh my
and they
God.
say it's because they have kids. That's the level that I'm dealing with. So anyways, I get back to this. I got so mad that I got kind of duped by these fucking IRS bullshit fake people that I went and looked up numbers online to call that were fake numbers, and I pranked them. And I was Sean Bavis was my name. Well, no, Bear Joseph was my name. Don't know why the fuck it was that. And I was using a southern accent and telling them I was from Poolesville, Maryland, and asking people that were from like fucking Pakistan where Poolesville, Maryland was. Because they were claiming they were in New York or wherever the fuck they were. Mm-hmm. And I would call like a fake Microsoft companies and IT companies and like whatever and be like, oh yeah. And it was awful. I almost got killed from it. Which is sad because fuck
You
that.
like Imagine Dragons?
Oh yeah, I asked some guy if he liked Imagine Dragons and he said, yeah, he likes the band. And I said, yeah, Imagine Dragging these nuts across your face. Like that was the punchline for him, and he got it from the Middle East. But we were fucking with people. It was really bad. But that's not the craziest thing I've ever seen or done. But it's...
Those were still some pretty crazy stories.
Yeah, well, no, that's just stupid shit. Like, I used to prank call 7-Eleven back in the day and ask why there were locks on the door because they were open 7-Eleven. I used to call and ask if they had fresh glazed donuts and make them go check if there was fresh donuts. I'm not kidding.
You're an ass.
I'm a piece of shit. I was like 14. We would literally get out the fucking phone book, which none of you young fucks watching know about. We'd get out the phone book and we'd literally go to like the business section and like find places to call and then mock the place, like a muffler place, and asking them about mufflers, like dumb shit. Like,
oh my God.
Why? We were bored dumb kids, but isn't it better that we did that than go out and like fuck around and rob shit or blow things up or fucking, you know, get in a gang or, you know, I don't know. We lived in Laurel. We grew up in fucking Laurel, like where me and a good friend of mine that we're no longer good friends grew up. We grew up in a shitty ass area. We walked around at 1 o'clock in the morning. We didn't care. We grew up there.
Yeah.
We weren't afraid of anybody.
Right.
So we'd go to McDonald's at 1 a.m. It didn't matter. Whatever. But it was better that we did what we did, play video games. You know, stay out of trouble. Alright, I'm sorry. I went on the